his age. 20, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Right, but as long as they have an example.
Right, right. So as far as the crucial facts are not conflicting. I'll give you an example. Like what you people have been telling me, and then what the parking lot attendant told me. Totally makes me completely confused. That is going to be raising a question in the jury's mind. Well, who's telling the truth? Or what actually happened? Maybe nobody's to be believed. Now, I don't mean exactly everybody agree, okay? Everybody agree to 6:30 right on the dot, okay? We all remember our different lines, okay? If there's no agreement, that's fine. Just remember your different lines. Chink, foreign card, big fucker, little fucker, all fuckers, don't call me a fucker. We all remember our lines, okay? It's just watchable. You know, it could be wrong. Okay, so he says, I just don't know whether you're a big fucker or a little fucker. Because it earlier said, big fucker, little fuckers, we're all fuckers.
For the second federal trial, the record did contain other evidence that race was a motivating factor. Evidence that was not tainted, even arguably, by the lies of Champion. For example, Racine Cowbell, the fancy pants dancer, testified that Evans yelled at Vincent, "It's because of you little motherfuckers that we're out of work." Jimmy Perry, a bystander near the fancy pants lounge, testified that he was given $20 by Nitz and Evans to help them find 2 Chinese guys so that they could bust their heads. And as the prosecution argued, the brutality and the ferocity of the attack was proof that this was not just another barroom broil, but an attack driven by race and bigotry. The Sixth Circuit reversed the judgment of conviction and remanded the case to Judge Taylor for a new trial. On remand, Evans renewed his motion for a change of venue because of the adverse publicity. This time, Judge Taylor granted the motion. She observed that there had been even more publicity about the case since the first trial.
Most damaging of all the post-reversal coverage, in the view of this court, was the October 12, 1986 Detroit News Sunday magazine cover story on the victim's mother, Lily Chen. The magazine cover was comprised of full-page color photographs of the still grieving mother. The lengthy story inside, accompanied by more photographs, told of the tragic deterioration of her life to that of a homeless wanderer since the death of her son. The effect of this major feature alone in the newspaper of largest circulation in Michigan and northern Ohio is extremely prejudicial to the court's ability to secure an impartial jury in this area.
Judge Taylor ordered transfer of the case to the Southern District of Ohio, the federal court in Cincinnati. Ironically, the Asian American community's success at publicizing the injustice to Vincent Chin was a factor in causing the transfer of this case from Detroit, a city with a black majority and a history of civil rights issues. A city that was caught in economic woes afflicted by the automotive industry, to Cincinnati. Indeed, during jury selection in Cincinnati, only 19 of the more than 200 prospective jurors said they had ever met an Asian American. In addition to the different demographics of the jury pool, the prosecution team faced several new challenges. With memories fading, its witnesses would have to testify to 5-year-old events. More impeachment material existed in the form of testimony from the first trial. Evidentiary rulings that had gone the government's way the first time had been reversed. And Evans, whose selective memory had not impressed the jury when he testified in Detroit, did not take the stand again in the second trial. It was no surprise then when on May 1st, 1987, the jury returned a verdict in the Cincinnati courtroom finding Ronald Evans not guilty of violating Vincent Chin's civil rights.
So what is the legacy of Vincent Chin? Despite the disappointment of many in the final verdict, the Vincent Chin case had a great impact, both on the administration of justice in general and on the Asian American community in particular. The Vincent Chin case sparked a public discourse on the practice of Wayne County prosecutors not to appear for sentence proceedings. The case showed how important it was for prosecutors to participate in sentencings and for victims and their families to be given notice of court proceedings. In the years following the Vincent Chin case, federal and state laws, including in Michigan, were enacted giving victims greater rights. And the discussions leading to the passage of hate crime laws, and in the discussions leading to the passage of hate crime laws, the Chin case was often cited. As for Asian Americans, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals held that, indeed, Asian Americans were protected by this country's civil rights laws. The murder of Vincent Chin and its aftermath awakened our civil rights consciousness. Asian Americans came together and became a community, one with a voice. As for Asian Americans, the death of a man was the birth of a movement.
Lily Chin, Vincent's mother, was an inspiration to many. Although she barely spoke English, she led a courageous effort to seek justice for her son. She became so disheartened, however, after the final verdict that in September 1987, she returned to her native village in Guangzhou, China. There she remained until 2001, when illness forced her back into the United States for medical treatment. Lily Chin died on June 9, 2002, at the age of 82, in Farmington Hills, Michigan. We're going to leave you with an excerpt from the 1988 film, Who Killed Vincent Chin?
Em chào tốt cái chú anh con béo ô xin cổ lò ăn ngồi xem men kia là ngồi cái bàn bàn cùng tụ nó bàn cùng phong cùng bàn nó gặp cùng như vậy nó ăn rồi cái của cô đông bồi nó ăn rồi nghĩ cơ nghĩ mà đi xem hai ông cái đó hai cô nhà tôi mình mà mua bị nhiều tâm số ngồi có cái xanh cái năm số mà nói ra mà mấy cái năm số lượng mình ngồi mình số dùng tôi dùng của sao phát hiện dùng mất cái đó em nói sẵn sàng we all work very hard to get justice for my son Vincent. Please all of you good and honest people. Please.
It seems Mr. Chin is having some difficulties speaking. I think what she had said at the beginning was the court failed the first time. It seemed like the second time the court fails again to speak. Maybe we'll field questions. If anybody wants to ask her something, she may have to.
Please, I want everybody tell the government do not to drop this case. I want justice for Vincent. I want justice for my son. Thank you.
Okay, and that was the conclusion of the historical trial presentation. Your next. I'd like to thank the actors and actresses for doing an excellent job bringing this very important event to life. Thank you, narrators Helen Lee and Chris Chan, who have been very helpful in help organizing this as well. And thank you, judges, for your attention. We hope that this was meaningful and at the very least entertaining for your first couple hours of your training. Before I introduce EEOC Commissioner Ishimaru for a few remarks, I must give due credit to the Second Circuit Judge Denny Chin and the Asian American Bar of New York for pioneering this historical mock trial, and we give them due credit for this, for the PowerPoint presentations as well. We have great material to work with here.